You want our cameras off too, Pierre?
No, I'm talking more for staff.
Okay.
We're live.
Parfait. Merci beaucoup, Maryse. Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir tout le monde. Welcome to our regular council meeting for March 1st. Bienvenue à la réunion du 1er mars pour la réunion régulière du conseil. On va commencer avec l'appel, roll call. I'll ask members of council to please announce themselves.
Michael Ternosky, present.
André Brisson, présent.
Cindy Sauce, present.
Thank you very much. Councillor Lorrain had mentioned that he was unable to be here this evening, so his absence is motivated. And I believe our clerk is here as well.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm here. Joanne?
Parfait, merci Joanne. Item 2 puis 3, la prière puis l'hymne national, on le fait pas dans quand on est virtuel. Item 4, additions, deletions, or amendments. I don't believe we have any. Item 5, adoption of the agenda. Motion to approve the agenda as presented. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Ternosky, seconded by Conseiller Brisson. All those in favor?
Mike Ternosky, oui.
André, oui.
Cindy Sauce, yes.
Perfect, carried. Merci beaucoup. Item 6, déclaration d'intérêt pécuniaire. Hearing, seeing none. Item 7, l'adoption des procès-verbaux. Regular council minutes of February 16, 2021. Motion to approve the following minutes as presented. Need a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Conseiller Brisson, seconded by Councillor Saucier. Any questions? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Mike Ternosky, yes.
André, oui.
Cindy Sauce, yes.
Perfect, item is carried. Item 8, présentation, il n'y en a pas. Item 9, délégation, pétition, il n'y en a pas. Item 10, consent item. Motion that all items listed under consent items be received as presented. Item A, request for the community grants for the Parks and Recreation Department 2021 budget. Item B, minutes of the Russell Historical Society of January 11th, 2021. Item C, minutes of the Community Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee of January 11th, 2021. And item D, minutes of the Township of Russell Public Library Board, December 17th, 2020. I need a mover and a seconder. Put it on the table, please. Moved by Councillor Ternosky, seconded by Conseiller Brisson. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Mike Ternosky, yes.
André, oui.
Cindy Sauce, yes.
Perfect. Items are carried. On va aller à item 11, rapport des départements et comités du conseil. We're going to 11 reports from departments, councils, committees. For the members of the public, just so you're aware, we do have a question period on the agenda of the day. So si vous avez des questions sur l'agenda du jour, l'ordre du jour, vous pouvez juste inscrire votre nom et votre adresse puis la question dans la bonne section. If you've got questions, you're allowed on the meeting of the day, you're allowed to type it in at this point in time. It'll only be addressed when we get to the question period, but that does give you time to ask your questions and we'll address them at that point. Conseiller Brisson?
Maybe just a recommendation that we might add a question period if there's any question after the presentation, since the people are here from the group to present. I suggest. If there's any.
Oui, ben, je veux dire, s'il y a des questions, but it'll be, we'll go through that process. We'll see if there's any questions. The first item on the agenda is the proposed Heritage Conservation District Plan and Guidelines for part of Russell Village, Report PD 17202. The council receives the information report PD 17-2021 dated March 1st, 2021, and the council adopts in the first reading the proposed bylaw, and the council mandates the administration to continue the process of adopting the proposed Heritage Conservation District Plan and Guidelines and revise the proposed Heritage Plan and Guidelines as required for its second and third reading. Bonsoir, Madame Tremblay.
Bonsoir, membre du conseil.
Ça fait plusieurs fois qu'on revoit ce document-là. Il y a eu des changements, évidemment. I'm not sure if you want to start with if members of council have questions, or did you want to go over the document?
I would like, if it's possible, Mr. Mayor, just to go over an overview really quick. I'm not going to go over the entire report, but just to bring some information in front of members of council, if it's possible.
Yeah, as long as we're not doing page by page on 185 documents, we're all good.
We're not. Thank you for the opportunity, and I just want to mention as well that I invited Madame Alix Jolicoeur to join the meeting tonight, since she's working really hard on this file as well. So if there's a specific question, maybe we could refer the question to Madame Jolicoeur. But moving forward, I just want to make sure council are happy with the report, and that basically we're in front of council tonight to finally present this proposed heritage district. As you know, it's been on ongoing work since 2015. So we're in front of council to present the heritage district, the heritage plan and guidelines, and as mentioned tonight. J'aimerais aussi, il est important de mentionner qu'un district de conservation du patrimoine, c'est une zone qui est une concentration de ressources patrimoniales avec un caractère spécial ou une association historique qui la distingue de son environnement. The designation of a HCD allows a municipality to protect the character of an area and guide future changes and development. This protection is not meant to prevent changes, but it's there to manage change in ways that are positive for the district and for a wider community. Many people now consider the HCD to be one of the most effective tools in planning, not only for historic conservation, but to be an effective urban design. The planning department, in collaboration with our consultant, NTBA, has worked hard to involve the community throughout the process from the beginning in the HCD study and the HCD plan and guidelines development phase. As member of council could notice in the report, we have detailed all the public meetings that were conducted and all the invite that were sent for each public meeting. We have conducted since the beginning of this project over 6 public meeting and information sessions. Since the beginning, we've also created a distribution list. So people and the resident of the HCD or for the surrounding of the HCD were always invited to be part of that distribution list. And notice of public meeting was sent by email to all the committee members that were part of the HCD in an email list. From some meeting, we also had an invite that was sent to all the property owner included in the HCD. And some occasion, we also invited property owner that were joining the proposed HCD. So the effort was really over and beyond to make sure that we're including public as much as possible. The public involvement, as I just mentioned, in the development of the Heritage Conservation District was very important by the planning department. We felt that this is something that was really important, as a Heritage Conservation District is a tool for the community. Heritage Conservation District are intended to conserve area that the community has identified as being important and valuable parts of the identity of place and telling the history of the place. In this case, the village of Russell. If the community does not want to preserve this area, then the Heritage Conservation District offers no value. So it's important to mention that we're not doing this for the Township of Russell, we're doing this for the resident and make sure that we're protecting what was identified by them as a valuable for the Township of Russell. Based on the consultation, the HCD plan is offering a tool that could help manage change and was identified by the community as an important sense of place of the village of Russell. We have created a chart, including all the comments, so I hope council enjoyed that. So there was a lot of comments that was received since the beginning of this process. The chart including the name of the property owner, if the property was included in the HCD or outside the HCD, and their comments, as well as how it was addressed and why it was not addressed in some cases. This chart was attached as an appendix to the report. In the report, we've also included how the process would work if the HCD was approved. So as you can see in the last part of the report, we have included a property evaluation. So just for information, in the report, you see the picture of the house as an example, and then you see the evaluation. In that evaluation, you could find the information such as if the property is evaluated to contribute or not contribute to the Heritage District, You can find also the attributes, the architectural attributes, and associated theme, person, or organization. So members of council, just for information as well, you have received this information, but it was in a different format. So it was just in a list of by addresses. But moving forward, this is what it looks like. So it's more, the pictures of the house is included. So in the report as well, we went through examples, and if you didn't go through the entire plan, I just want to as well refer to section 4, of the plan that is entitled Implementation of the proposed plan. It includes a chart and it's really helpful. So I would suggest that you go and refer to that section, and it basically describe all type of work that could be proposed, and if you're a contributing property versus a non-contributing property, and if what type of permit would apply depending on the type of work that's being proposed. So that resumed a bit the report, and there was a lot more information, but I didn't want to go through in detail because you've received this the weekend before. But tonight we're recommending to council to approve the proposed plan as a first reading only, since we want to give again more opportunity for the public and members of council to ask questions and offer comments. As an example, we've received 2 new requests today for information, and in collaboration with the consultant, we were able to make some changes to the property evaluation sheet. So we want to, again, give more opportunity for the public to offer comments and make sure that they're involved in the process. Therefore, we understand, again, that it was a lot of information to gather and to prendre connaissance de. So therefore, we want to make sure that we're doing it the first time right. So that's why we are strongly suggesting that we move forward with the first reading, and then it gives us more time again to address more comments and concern from the public if there's some, or from members of council.
Parfait. Merci beaucoup, Madame Tremblay. Question, membres du conseil, questions, members of the council, Councillor Tarnowski, and then Councillor Saucier.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. So first of all, I want to applaud the whole process, because I think the process was very meticulous in terms of providing enough opportunity for residents both in and out of the proposed zone or conservation district to have comments. So that's really good, and there's a lot of really good detail. It's interesting now that it's kind of being more circulated, or it's coming to the deadline, because we are hearing from some residents. And I had a couple of questions that I didn't think of when we were going through the process. So the first question is, how does this impact intensification? And so my question around that, we're seeing that a lot now in Embrun. Certainly, some of the older residences are being taken down and replaced with, multiplexes and so on. So in this particular case, I would assume that would not be allowed, or I just want clarification on that. That would be my first question.
Thank you. Madame Tremblay.
Yeah, so I would maybe ask Alex to answer the question, please.
All right, so there's kind of 2 parts to that question. So in terms of demolitions, so demolitions are still permitted within the Heritage Conservation District if the building is categorized as a Category 4, which means it's non-contributing. For buildings that are categorized as either a 1, 2, or 3, which means key properties, contributing properties, or somewhat contributing properties, they can only be demolished if they are beyond reasonable repair. And establishing whether they're beyond reasonable repair, we ask for a report by a professional, such as an engineer or an architect, who can go in and say, this is what's wrong with the building. And the reason that we ask for that is because it sets a kind of baseline and has a professional identifying what work needs to be done in the building. And then we would work with the property owner to determine what that work would cost and whether that's like a viable option. If somebody is doing infill development, either on a vacant lot or after a building has been torn down, it does not prevent intensification. It just requires that new construction be compatible with the district. And so in some cases that may have an impact on how big the building can be or how tall the building can be. But there are often ways of designing a building so that it can have less of a visual impact while still maintaining the same or similar numbers of units. So it allows, the HCD is intended to allow for change like intensification, but doing so in a way that ensures retention of heritage assets as much as possible. And when there is infill on a vacant lot or when a building is torn down, that it isn't going to detract from that district. It's going to help support long-term the character of place that we were kind of communicated by the community that it was important.
Okay. A follow-up question, Mr.
Yeah,
Mayor,
go
that's
ahead.
good. Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
And so along those lines, when we're saying that we would get an engineer to evaluate, what is the threshold, or is there something that's already established as a threshold to say, you know what, this is beyond repair, you know, there's, I don't know, mold, it's all rotted or whatever. Like, how is that done? Is it just, you know, a gut feeling that it's worth more to fix it than it is to demolish it? Like,
So it's not, Dominic, is it okay if I answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
So there's not like a financial threshold that says if it costs more than X number of dollars, then it's fine, you can tear it down. The reason for that is it depends on the asset itself. Obviously, for more iconic buildings within our community, it may make more sense to invest a little bit more than properties that are, you know, let's say a number 3, they're somewhat contributing, they already have had all of their heritage kind of features like original siding and, you know, detail work has already been stripped off of them long ago. There might not be the same threshold. It's also really difficult to determine a number because in some cases a building may be much larger on one property, and so, you know, the investment required to save it in dollars may be higher, but per square foot may be kind of reasonable. So we've left that as a kind of area where staff will work with an owner in determining that, and it's part of why we ask for that report from a professional to determine all of the work that would be needed to kind of save a building. And looking at all those various factors and what that would cost. And then it's a discussion with the property owner, and in terms of demolition, I believe it requires a major heritage permit if it's a contributing building. So it would go to council as well before that heritage permit for the demolition could be issued.
okay, one final question, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead.
So in terms of determining the values so far, in the values that were presented in the report, those were all based on outside observations, and like we haven't gone into any of those buildings, and it's really about the facade, about the landscaping and everything else, right?
Yeah, that's correct, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Mr. Tarnowski. So yes, the evaluation were done from the outside, but it's also not just the facade, but it's also the if there was an important person or organization that was part of that building or history that comes with the building as well.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Thank you.
Perfect. So just for clarification, this does not touch the interior work whatsoever on these in this district, correct?
Correct, Mr. Mayor. It doesn't include anything inside the building.
Okay, parfait. Councillor Saucier?
Yeah, thank you. I just want to also echo Councillor Chanowski's comments. I want to commend the staff and particularly Dominic and Alex and also the consultants for such a thorough report, and also the process that took place. Like all the, you know, I've attended every one of the meetings and I think we've had 8 or 10 of them, and the information that's come out of it, and just you know, I think it's been really an amazing process. I was just making note that there was 134 of these districts in Ontario, and I don't know if any of you have noticed this commercial recently, and I just really think, you know, this could be Russell. Is Discover Ontario has a commercial out, and it's attracting people to Almont. It's showing the village of Almont. And it shows the beautiful architecture and what have you. And I said, talk about economic development. This could be us. because if we preserve our village, you know, for the future, I think it will be to our benefit, because there's so many other towns that have done that, and it would protect things from not happening, like the loss of the Russell House, which was built in 1857. I also wanted to comment on page 21 and 92. It talked about the unusual placing of the houses on Craig Street. And I don't know if the consultants were aware, but the front of those houses is actually the back of those houses, because the road used to run on the other side. So Craig Street like ran behind the house. So that's why they look so off, because from the street, you're looking at the back of the house. So I just wasn't sure if they were aware of that. And, you know, this study began in 2015. And, you know, I just, again, thank you for the countless hours that you've put into this project. And, you know, and I mean, questions are still coming up that were addressed, you know, at previous meetings. And unfortunately, some people are just coming in later now, and they have questions and they weren't aware of the whole process. But I think you've pretty well addressed everything. And, you know, I'm excited about the prospect, so thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Conseiller Brisson?
Yeah, I have a few questions. First, it was just to know if right now the map, the size of the heritage area, if on a later date, is it easy to modify it, whether to put it smaller, that we have less road, or make it even bigger? Is it something that is easy to do, or it's really almost cast in stone, in cement? Or?
Madame Tremblay, I think once council approves it, this is registered with the province.
Mm-hmm. Yes, correct, Mr. Mayor.
So how easy is it to make changes after the fact?
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. Maybe Madame Jolicoeur has the answer, but like you've mentioned, it's something that is registered with the province. So I believe that we would have to go through over other public meetings and then do another report that would justify why we wanted to change it. But maybe Madame Jolicoeur has something to add for the process of changing it.
Okay, merci beaucoup. Madame Jolicoeur?
My understanding is that it's a very similar process to what we've undertaken recently if we are to change the Heritage Conservation District, particularly if we are expanding its boundaries. We would be required to give notice to all property owners within the proposed expansion area and hold public meetings and do a study to determine whether those assets are worth inclusion in an expanded Heritage Conservation District. In terms of reducing the size of the district, I imagine it would be a very similar process, though I haven't really come across a whole lot of literature on that front. But I imagine it would be similar. You would need to do a public meeting and provide notice to the properties that would be affected and to the public, and then you would have to register it with the province of Ontario. So.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Conseiller Brisson?
Yeah, another question was just to clarify, because there was a bit of how you interpret it with the material that is outside the house. Like if it's in wood right now, can it be replaced with material that is not that will last longer, but that look like wood? An example, a bit like for the heritage, the museum.
Yeah.
Madame Tremblay?
Yes, so I'll ask Madame Jolicoeur again if you could answer, because I know that we've added provision for that. So if you wanted to specify, Alex.
Absolutely. So there's a section in the report related specifically to materials and even more specifically to siding. And so it identifies that replacing wood siding when it's beyond repair with wood siding is preferred. It does allow for contemporary materials that look like wood siding, like some of the composite materials. And even though it's not preferred and it's discouraged, even vinyl siding is permitted under the guidelines when replacing something like wood siding. That being said, materials like Russell brick are treated slightly differently. So you kind of want to take a look at that materials section if you want to know exactly how each type of material is treated. But for wood siding, that's the answer. Wood, like number 1 preferred option is replacing wood siding with wood siding. Number 2 is composite materials that look like wood siding, and kind of still an option, but not the preferred option is vinyl siding that as much as possible looks like wood siding.
Okay. So
sorry, Mr. Mayor. So it's just for members of council, it's section 3.7.1 in the plan.
So just to make sure though, these are on properties that have been designated as being either what the numbers are 1, 2, 3, or, you know, if it's not a contributing factor, then this would not be an issue. Is that correct?
Correct. So basically, it only applies where the siding has been identified as one of the contributing factors. So a lot of properties already have vinyl siding, so absolutely nothing prevents them from replacing vinyl siding with vinyl siding or aluminum siding with vinyl siding. It's only where the siding has been identified as contributing to the heritage character of that building. And so there aren't that many buildings that have wood siding within the district. There are a few definitely that have Russell brick, but the ones that already have vinyl siding, they wouldn't be affected regardless of what category they were in.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Saucier?
Yeah, I was reading also on page 144. So to me, my understanding is the permit is no different than what it is right now for anybody to apply for a permit. So if I'm making renos to the outside of my house and if it's major, like changing my porch, well, then I would need this heritage permit. But anything else, it was pretty much just the same as it is right now. So I just wanted to clarify that there is no cost to the homeowner for these heritage permits, right? For renos.
Madame Tremblay?
So the only extra cost that you'll see probably happening for the homeowner is not going to be for applying at the township, but if there's a HIA required to be prepared, so that report will cost to the owner.
And what is do we have an idea what that fee would be?
So I believe that after discussion with Alex on this, that it's about 2,000 to maybe Alex 2,500.
So the cost of a potential heritage impact assessment can vary considerably. So a consultant said it can be anywhere from $2,000 to up to $20,000, but they expressed that the $20,000, that's like the heritage impact assessment for the Chateau Laurier. Like that's a really very intensive heritage impact assessment. So most of the time when we're looking at heritage impact assessments in the village of Russell, especially for homeowners, it will likely be on the lower end between $2,000 and $5,000. Many types of permits though don't require a heritage impact assessment. They're generally only required for major alterations. And so in the table in the implementation section, starting on page around, I think 144, there's a table that identifies when heritage permits are required, when it's a minor, when it's a major permit, and also tries to identify when a heritage impact assessment would be requested. Yeah, so that it's giving an outline of when we might ask for that and when those additional costs might be incurred. But just to kind of give council an idea, the majority of changes that are going to be done to an existing building within the HIA, unless they're major additions, are not going to require a heritage impact assessment. So it's not required if you're changing windows, it's not required if you're changing your siding. It's really required, for example, if somebody is building a new infill building, because we want to make sure that that new infill project is going to be compatible with the district.
So that would be the only cost.
Okay. And the one other question, Mr. Mayor, if I could, it was on page 68 was the consultant was looking at our street lights in the village, and you know, we just replaced those. So and I think they are very fitting for the village, the ones that were selected by infrastructure. So I'm just curious about that.
Madame Tremblay, I believe these are just possible suggestions if and when we have to replace existing infrastructure. But I mean, that's just one suggestion. It would be really up to infrastructure and planning to look at those, like benches, lights, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add, Mr. Mayor, as well, that they were aware that we proceed with the streetscape master plan as well, so they did consider that in their option as well. And me and Monsieur Bourgon worked on the streetscape master plan, and those were the benches and street light that were addressed as part of the streetscape master plan that was approved by council. So the consultant, the MTBA consultant, was made aware of that as well. So they made sure that what was proposed is also in collaboration with the streetscape master plan.
OK. Parfait. Merci beaucoup. D'autres questions? Conseiller Brisson?
C'est juste clarifier, mais quand il a dit que ça prend quand même un permis, parce que quand tu arrives pour soit changer le siding ou quoi que ce soit, faut qu'il y ait un permis pour héritage de la municipalité. Puis d'habitude, vous dites tout le temps que c'est cost recovery. Ça fait qu'il va avoir un coût au homeowner de se faire évaluer parce que votre temps, vous ne devez pas l'avoir gratuitement pour dire, OK, oui, ça tombe dedans ou non, ça ne tombe pas dedans.
Madame Tremblay?
We didn't discuss about, like, to be honest, to have a cost for the permit. Like if it doesn't require a building permit or HIA, I don't see that we would take that much time to review if the siding, for example, meets the guidelines. If there were to be fees, it would be really minimal, but we don't expect at this point to have fees associated with that.
Okay. And I don't think there's necessarily going to be a mad rush of huge renovations happening in the district, right? I mean, you'll have some work that might come, but it'll be, I think, more of a one-off than it will be, you know, a consistent pattern of.
And to add, Mr. Mayor, as well, usually those type of work are done with something else. Like usually they're going to add a deck or a porch or do some other work that would require the building permit. It's kind of rare that we see that they're just changing the siding or so. We'll look at it, and it's a fair question. We'll consider it, and if it's something that we think that we should add a fee, then we'll propose something to members of council when we'll come back for the second and the third reading.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. D'autres questions? Councillor Tarnowski?
Yeah, just one last question. In terms of timing for second, third reading, how do you see it? Like I'm looking at your at the designation process. Obviously, that detail I don't see it in there. But like, what kind of timing do you think that that we can see based on what you're getting as feedback from us and so on?
Madame Tremblay?
So the time, we didn't want to commit to a date based on the comments that we were going to receive tonight and based on the feedback that we get. Usually we see frequently that people are getting more involved when they see that we're getting closer. So again, we want to we want to make sure that we address every concern and comments and be comfortable when we come back in front of council. Depending on the question period tonight and depending on, I would expect, since there's not a lot to get back to, maybe at the 2nd of April, I think we would be comfortable of coming back in front of council. We've asked the consultant as well to review some of the property evaluation, so they're committing themselves to bring us back the information by the end of March. So to give us a bit more time, I would be comfortable of bringing it to the 2nd of April. And as well, we've committed ourselves to advise by email and sending another mailing to the resident as part of it the next date, so to give us a bit more time as well.
Merci.
Okay. Parfait. Other questions, Councillor Saucier?
Yeah, and just to add to that, Madame Tremblay, like I know you're sending emails to the homeowners, but what about just the residents that were attending these meetings? Are they getting an update on this as well?
Madame Tremblay?
Yeah, so as mentioned earlier, the most of the time, the people that attended the meeting, they are part of our distribution list. So they're the first one that received the emails. And as well, we send a mailing to all the property owner, but the ones that are part of the list, I think we have about 50 to 60 people that are part of the distribution list that we have their email, so they receive on top of it an email informing them of the next steps.
Okay, merci.
Parfait. Merci beaucoup. If there's no further questions from members of council, I think we'll just move on with the agenda. We only have a few items before we get to the question period. So for those watching, we'll address your questions at the question period. Item 14 shouldn't be long at all. We'll move on to the next item. Le prochain item, c'est item B. Distribution d'arbres 2021, rapport ISPW 04-2021. Que le conseil reçoit le rapport ISPW 04-2020 daté du 1er mars 2021 et approuve l'événement de distribution d'arbres en collaboration avec la conservation de la Nation Sud et approuve également la subvention de $500. Questions, comments, members of council? Monsieur Bourgon, I just want to ask a question. I saw in the report or in the letter from South Nation that if the municipality wanted to buy extra trees or increase the funds, we'd have that option. I'm not sure if council would be open to it, but I would make a suggestion that perhaps we increase that funding a little bit, maybe put it to $1,000. And if ever there's, too many seedlings, then we can use it on public property. I'm not sure if you have that flexibility, Monsieur Bourgon.
Good evening, member of council. I would need to ask South Nation if it's possible. If it is, well, it's a good thing. I know they were limited by the amount of seedling that they can have before like the early May. So again, I will have to double check with them if it's possible.
Okay. Questions, Councillor Saucier, Conseiller Brisson?
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, like, would it be feasible if we had extra trees to give them out at the hazardous waste day in May, which was like we did before?
Monsieur Bourgon?
Well, right now, like the distribution, it will be coordinated by South Nation, so people need to reserve their trees like we did last year. But the pickup will happen the Friday before our event and or the day of. So it's already planned that way, but people need to reserve their bundle of trees, which is going to be by 5 or 10. So it's so as much as we can give away that way. Okay,
thank you, Monsieur Bourgon. And I know that we had quite a lineup last time when we did Hazardous Waste Day. I don't know if we just necessarily want to add people to that lineup, but it'll be coordinated in the same week, and that'd be great. Conseiller Brisson?
C'est le point que je voulais amener. Ça ne veut pas dire qu'il va y avoir du monde comme l'année passée à Just Waste, là, mais c'est pour ça que de le faire à la même place même pour être tricky, parce qu'avec le line-up, le monde ne pourra pas juste aller ramasser leurs arbres. C'est de quoi que je dis à considérer tout de bien de le faire ailleurs. Je comprends que le staff est là, mais avec le trafic, en tout cas, c'est mon commentaire à penser.
Merci beaucoup. Monsieur Bourgon, you're going to be checking with South Nation. I mean, if we're talking about $500, I'm not sure if you need that added to this resolution or if you prefer having a look and then coming back to council just to advise us. I know that I think it's pretty minimum, but I think if council in general are okay with increasing the amount, then we can just give that direction. You're okay with that, Monsieur Leduc? Yeah. Is council okay with saying instead of 5,000, it's 1,000 if it's available?
I was going to propose it.
So. Yeah, okay. So we won't need to separate it out of the items. We've given that direction and we're good. Okay, perfect. Next item is item C, relocation of municipal drain, report ISPW 07-2021. That council receives report ISPW 07-2021 dated March 1st, 2021, and approves the extension of the appointment of Robinson Consultants, Inc. to act as the engineer firm working on the relocation of the east branch of the Wood Edie drain as per section 78 of the Draining Act. Not sure if members of council have any questions. It's pretty, this is just procedural more than anything else, Mr. Bourgon?
Effectivement, Monsieur le Maire, c'est following the act, it needs to be renewed annually.
Okay, perfect. Questions, members of council? Seeing none, we'll go to the next item. Item D, mise à jour sur le complexe récréatif, rapport PR 0221. The council receives the information report PR 02-2021 dated March 1st, 2021 for an update on the recreation complex. Madame Guittard, this is always a nice and good discussion to have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Yes, it is. So we're happy to inform council tonight that we've been working since last December, working pretty hard. We've achieved a lot up to now. A lot of meetings, I think, to start the whole process, but everything is good. So internally, within the administration, we did form a committee that meets every second week to get updates and make sure that we don't forget anything. And also there's another meeting that goes on every second week with the Collier Group, the project manager in charge and his assistant, and myself. We meet also every second week to keep on to see if the schedule is up to date. And then also in the report, I did mention that we did meet for the financial side. We also had a meeting with Colliers and also Monsieur Richard Gardin, the Director of Finance, and myself to start talking about the financial part of the project, which is the operation on capital expenses, which will be coming in phase 3 and phase 4. But we wanted to start the process that for the report that will be presented later on this year. And on the communication side, as you probably are aware, we did launch the survey on February 9th, the general survey to the general public. So everybody is asked to fill out the questionnaire. They have until March 12th, 2021. So we're hopeful that we will have a lot and we will reach a lot of our residents. Up to now, we have an amount of 710 surveys that we're already filled, from which there's 629 English and 81 French. So we're calling the French population tonight. Come on, you need to fill out your survey. Everything is bilingual. So we're very happy with this. At one point, the consultant had told us that 500 would be very good. So I guess 710 is getting to excellent. And we still have another 2 weeks for the residents to fill the questionnaire. Another thing that was also done, we've sent an email and a questionnaire, a specific questionnaire to all our user groups for the arenas and the pool and the library and La Maison des Arts also. Everybody received a questionnaire specific to the usage of the facility that they usually use on a regular basis. So, and after we've sent that email, we've also contacted them for an interview that will be held in the next month. Until the end of March, everybody will receive a call from the consultant. I will also be assisting some of them. I can't assist to every one of them because there's too many. And I do have a primary job for township. So I will be assisting to some of them. I did assist to the first one, in fact, today. We were talking with the Junior B Hockey League. So every user will receive a call and receive an interview for more specific questions related to the usage of the facility that they do on a regular basis. Last week on February 24th, we had a virtual meeting with it's called Mayor Live with Mayor Leroux. So we did that last Wednesday. It went very well. We had some nice questions, good questions, and we discussed about an hour or so. So that was good. This week we're starting the public consultation. We'll have one this Wednesday and Wednesday, March the 10th. And they will be held at 6:30. So everybody is invited to attend. And don't be shy. Like I said last week, there is no bad question. Every question is bad, and no comment is bad either. As long as everything is objective, constructive, we want to hear what you have to say. So that'll be a really good opportunity to do this this coming Wednesday and next Wednesday. And also part of communication, in the upcoming weeks, Colliers will be launching an RFI. So that's a request from information to see the interest of demand of operators for canteens, various franchises, physio clinics, etc. So we want to see what's out there, what would be what the public would maybe like to have in, and what some of those businesses would maybe propose. So this will be done in upcoming weeks. After that, we did the procurement. That was for mostly the architect for the phase 1 and phase 2. The procurement was awarded to the N45 consultant, which we've had some. We've dealt with N45 in the last 2 years, so we were happy that they were awarded the contract. So the phase 1 architect fee was 90,390, and the phase 2 will be for 68,400, for a total of 158,790. We were quite happy because in the forecasted budget we had put a total amount of 375, so there's a nice saving of $216,000. So that'll be part of the contingency if we ever need it for phase 1 and phase 2. So the kickoff meeting with N45 was done on February 5th. Since then, we've been meeting every second Friday. So we've met a number of the associates that will be working towards the plan for the park, the basketball courts, the tennis courts, and also the pool, the arenas. Everything will be, all those consultants are part of the team right now. So we're working towards the report that we plan to present to council in August. We've also had some discussions about fundraising. We're looking into some fundraising groups. There will be two separate campaigns. One will be done for the accessible park and one will be done for the complex. So that will be two separate fundraising campaigns. And then on February 17th, I did present a project of the accessible park to the Accessibility Advisory Committee. It was really well received. I got some good comments. And the committee asked if they could see maybe the final version of the park before sending it for the final approval to council. So I did say that I would share the park with them, and that's not an issue. So the committee was really happy that we did bring the park to their attention. And then at February 16 council meeting, we did, council approved that the administration makes a grant application to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities to get a condition assessment for both existing arenas, for the structure, the electrical and mechanical components, and the future of the existing arenas will be discussed later on in the phases 3 and 4. So that's what we've been doing for the last 2 months. And I'm proposing to bring an update to council probably every second month, or if needed. So I think it's a good way to keep council informed. And if you have any concerns or questions, please feel free to ask.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Councillor Chinaski.
Before you said I was muted, I wanted to make sure I had checked. Thank you very much, Madame Guital. This is fantastic. It's great to see things moving forward. I had one little concern, and my only concern that I have is that both of the scheduled meetings, for people are both on the Wednesday at the same time. So if I, for example, am a prospective user and I work Wednesdays, well, I'll be working this Wednesday and I'll be working next Wednesday as well, so I won't be able to attend. So I'm wondering if it's not, like, I know we've probably promoted this already a lot, but it would have been nice if they weren't at the same time on the same day at the same time slot. Is there any way you see that we can tweak that? What I'm looking for is, I know we're giving out a lot of opportunities for people to comment and everything else. I just don't want to hear something coming back say, well, it was only on a Wednesday. I know we have surveys and everything else, but I just wanted to kind of be preemptive on that.
Thank you, Councillor Tarnowski. I think the dates have been announced for a while now.
Yeah.
That being said, I believe that the meetings will be recorded so people can watch after the fact. They'll be posted our YouTube channels. And I believe the information for the consultants and the department is always available. So if somebody watches on, not live, but after the fact, they still have the ability to send their comments to the department and Colliers as well. So excellent. I think at this point in time, that's probably the best we can do. But good. Maybe something in the future, if we're doing more consultations, keep that in mind. Thanks, good point. Other questions, members of council? Conseiller Brisson?
Oui, c'est juste de reconfirmer, tu disais c'était les mercredis ici puis mercredi prochain, mais à quelle heure?
C'est 18h30, je crois, Madame Guittard.
Merci, Monsieur le maire, c'est ça, 18h30.
Oui.
Est-ce que les deux vont être juste en anglais?
Non. Le 3 mars, c'est en anglais et le 10 mars, c'est en français. Mais si quelqu'un demande une question, exemple, si quelqu'un pose une question en français mercredi, on va quand même lui répondre. C'est qu'on voulait juste une soirée dédiée en français puis une soirée dédiée en anglais.
OK.
Okay, parfait. Oui.
Parfait. D'autres questions, membres du conseil? If there's nothing else, Madame Guittard, we'll move on.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Look forward to the next steps. Next item on the agenda is item 12, reports from an investigator or the ombudsman. Item A, Ontario Ombudsman investigation letter received on February 23rd, 2021. The council receives for information purposes the ombudsman letter dated February 23rd, 2021, received by the clerk by email from the Ontario Ombudsman, Mr. Paul Dubé, with respect to an investigation into a complaint about a closed session meeting held by the council for the Township of Russell on September 8th, 2020 by electronic participation. Questions, comments, members of council? Councillor Tarnowski?
I just want to congratulate staff and the whole, on this whole process. I'm very happy to see that the way it resulted, and I'm glad to see that we're on the good side of this one.
Yeah. I'll just read a couple of lines from the conclusion. So for the members of the public who maybe have not read this, yes, there was a complaint. There is a process to follow, but the Ontario Ombudsman said, I am satisfied that the subject matters discussed fell within the exceptions cited for closed meeting discussion. As noted above, the matters also fell within the additional exception for solicitor-client privilege. So we could add it even. He added more. We could have used that item as well. So no, it's always nice when everything is confirmed that council and staff took the appropriate measures when we're holding our meetings. So thank you very much. And if there's nothing to add, we'll move on to the next item. 13, notice motions, none. Item 14, question period on the meeting of the day. I think we have quite a few questions. Just a reminder, when you're filling in the question, you should be stating your name and address for the record. So I'll go through these. The first one is from Emily Kedatsiva and Steve Larocque. Sorry if I butchered the name. Hi, we live at 3 Mill Street in Russell, a property impacted by the proposed HCD. We moved into the location in July of 2020. We were only notified by mail for the meeting in November. We did not receive notification from the meetings in the spring and the summer. Okay, I'm not sure what the question is. I see you have a follow-up question. We have asked several times for the number of property owners that are actually within the HCD, present at all meetings. We'd like to ensure that the owners of the property have been properly consulted on the impact of the proposed HCD. As Madame Tremblay stated multiple times, this has been going on for the past 4 or 5 years. I understand that you're just new in the summer, but I've been to those meetings. There has been a bunch of people that have attended. Madame Tremblay, to your knowledge, I think there was a lot of property owners that have been attending those meetings over the years. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, so if for information purposes as well, the lady that just made the comment is part of our table of comment, and we did mention in that comment table that yes, there was a notification that were done. One of the comment was made that basically the platform that we were using, the virtual meetings, were not allowing people to be at the township office and discuss this matter in person. But what we've noticed is basically when we had the meeting virtually, there was more people attending than when we actually had the meeting at the township office. In the report, you could see that basically the range of number of people were varying in between 16 to 20. So for each public meeting inside the report, we've included how many attendants were for each public meeting, and we had about, in the best case scenario, we had about 20 attendants to the meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question, Mr. Harry Baker for Forest Road. Has the 1854 Church Museum building asset been downgraded because the wood siding has been replaced by an engineered wood product? I'm not sure if Madame Jolicard or Madame Tremblay, as indicated in the report, you know, it is acceptable. It's not necessarily recommended, but it is acceptable. Are we anticipating that every time there's work done that we're going to reevaluate each property?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, no. So the property was not devaluated, and again, the HCD is not approved. That was the first part of the answer. Second of all, when the work will be done, it will be done as per the HCD. So therefore, it's not going to be reevaluated because we are expecting to protect the architectural attributes that would be identified for each property. Therefore, there's no need to reevaluate each property every time that there's work to be done as per it's going to meet the HCD.
Okay, merci beaucoup. Another comment, Vrya Waklowski. Again, I'm apologizing if I'm not getting that word right. She's basically saying, where do we find the proposed plan? Can you summarize how this plan would affect the Old Town Registry Office? How would this affect the sale of the property? So I'll add to that, Madame Tremblay, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on anything. If you go on the website, right on the main page, there's a section called Town Hall. If you click on that, there is actually, under projects and development, there is a section called the Heritage Conservation District. That's where you're going to find a whole bunch of reports that have been presented to council, all the information. I believe even our virtual meetings were recorded and put on our YouTube channel. So there's a lot of information you can look there. In regards to how this plan will affect the Old Town Registry Office, I don't think it'll affect it in any way, considering there's no changes. If there's ever changes proposed to the property, then they might have to be reviewed by the planning department. That's correct, Madame Tremblay?
Yeah, that's correct. And it's also this property, the registry office is registered with the province under Part 4. So it has an individual designation as well. So it's already regulated under the Part 4 of the Heritage Act.
Okay, and in regards to the sale of the property, well, again, if it's under Part 4, Part 4 for those watching just means it's stricter than what we're putting in place. Is that correct? Is that a fair assumption?
Is that the property is designated on its own and it's not part of a district, so it has its own designation as a heritage building.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. There was an anonymous, nobody's name, but it just says, what is the report name you mentioned? I think they're referring to the HIA. can you just re-clarify what that was, Madame Tremblay? Impact study?
It's a heritage impact assessment, sorry. So it depends on the type of work that is being proposed. So as part of the plan, if you could refer to the section of implementation, it says exactly when an HIA is required, depending on the type of work that's being proposed. And if I may have add information as well, Mr. Mayor, they could also send us an email. I know the lady prior to what we've just answered to see where the plan was located on the website, so they could send myself an email or Madame Jolicoeur an email to be part of our distribution list, so we could get in contact directly with them.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Next question, Monsieur Marc Lalonde, 1092 Concession Street. Has the planning department given any preliminary thought to how, I think he hit enter before finishing the question, so I'm not sure exactly what he's referring on that one. Madame Jeannette Mongeon, the purpose of the fees to help people maintain the building. I think the purpose of the building fees and so forth that we have are more in regards to how much staff time is being used. That's normally how our permit fees are established, Madame Tremblay.
Yeah, that's correct. And again, if this is something that we are recommending to council, then we'll propose a minimal fee if just to reflect the amount of time that we would staff would spend on reviewing the application.
Okay. Let's see. Will the heritage impact assessment be required if you're adding a garage? I think that would be, Madame Tremblay, correct me if I'm wrong, first people that are in the HCD should be really looking at how their property is designated. That would give them a good idea whether they actually have to go through this process or not. Would that be a good starting point?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question. I was kicked out of the meeting for a second. So maybe if Madame Jolicoeur wants to answer the question, maybe if she heard the question.
Yeah, so Mayor Pierre, yes, it depends in part on how the property is evaluated now. But in general, if you refer to the implementation section of the Heritage Planning Guidelines, which is available on our website, it identifies that any new garage or outbuilding is subject generally to a minor heritage permit, and that's regardless of whether it's a contributing or non-contributing property. It indicates that a heritage impact assessment is possible. It may be required. And so the reason that it says may be required is it depends in part on the location of that garage in relation to the building itself and the scale and size of that garage. So a discreetly located garage that's around the side of the building, for example, or is set back from the front facade of the building, or is in the rear yard of an existing property, those would likely not require a heritage impact assessment. Where a heritage impact assessment might be required is, let's say somebody is proposing a 2 or 3 car garage facing the road on the front of their property. A heritage impact assessment could be requested in those cases to ensure that it's going to be done in a way that's compatible with the district.
Yeah. So the best step is if you have a question in regards to your own property, it's best off just to contact the planning department. I'm looking to do this. What should I, and have that conversation with the staff, I think is the best way to go. Monsieur Lalonde, 1092 Concession Street. Township might promote, showcase the eventual approved HCD. Madame Tremblay, I saw in the report that they showed examples of that, of like a sign or something in the side, embedded in the sidewalks. I'm not sure if you're that far, if you've thought about how you're going to promote it, but obviously it's on the radar.
Yeah, for sure. We didn't want to get too far ahead if council decision, for example, were not to move forward with this type of plan. So yes, we'll have for sure maybe attending the evening with Mr. Leroux, but we'll for sure have a program to promote this heritage plan moving forward if council decide to move forward with the approval of this plan.
Okay, thank you very much. Another question from Emily and Steve. Has the HCD plan and guidelines been updated since the meeting in November? Well, I think that's what's being tonight is definitely been changes have been made since November. I think we had 28 pages, 190 something comments that staff resulted in some changes. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the website was updated to reflect the version that members of council are seeing tonight. So yes, there was quite a number of changes since the report in November.
Okay. Should not cause undue cost to current homeowners in terms of permits, should all be the same. Okay, here I'll get to the question part. Why should a heritage home owner pay more if the house may contribute to local economy via tourism, as per Councillor Saucier's comment? Prorate costs through a dedicated fund at township. Again, when we're talking about costs, as you said, Madame Tremblay, shouldn't be that expensive unless you're talking about major works. And, you know, if somebody decides to do major works on their own property, if it requires an HI historical impact assessment, I'm not sure that it should be all of taxation that should be paying for an individual request. Madame Tremblay?
Yeah, and you're correct. And at the same time, we may come back in front of council and say that it's not worth it to add the permit fee. So this is something, again, that we'll evaluate with more information. And I'm just going to spin it on a positive way as well for the question or comment that was made. We could also look at grant opportunity for people that are in the HCD. So as you know, we have our CIP right now that are for properties that are inside our village cores. So one of the program that could be part of a CIP is for a heritage district. So therefore, the people that the resident that are part of the HCD could be something that we could look in the future and have a HCD so they could apply for grants because they're part of the HCD. So it's something, yes, that it may cost more to do that if you have a major permit to apply and you need to prepare a report. But if it's minor work and it doesn't cost more, then you could be eligible moving forward with a CIP grant.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, can I? Thank you. So I think that actually brings an interesting point. If I think if a homeowner in the district is planning to do a renovation and there would be a normal regular fee applied to that, it should be the same standard fee, and we should probably have some sort of kitty like that to accommodate, because I agree that I don't think it should be fair that they are burdened with extra cost for it, because we are the whole community is benefiting from it. I think that really makes sense from that perspective, and it would encourage us to, certainly just from a administrative cost perspective, you know, if we can have a kitty there to cover those costs or prorate it across the township because we all benefit, I think that makes total sense.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Saucier, and then Madame, Councillor Saucier, go ahead.
Yeah, it was just to comment on that as well, because I mean, basically it's no different for me, or if I'm not in the Heritage District, I still have to get a building permit if I'm making some major change to my property. So, you know, again, it could be consistent with that. And but I mean, it's something that's required of everybody. If I'm changing my front porch, I have to get a building permit. So I don't see that it's not really like we're not separating these people out.
I think, as Madame Tremblay mentioned, I mean, there's a possibility of looking something similar to a CIP plan. If council wants to go there during budget sessions, that's the perfect time to have those discussions. In regards to permit fees, I think everybody's in agreement that, you know, the permit fees that are required should be standard along the board. But again, Madame Tremblay will come back with a report at one point in time for that. Madame Tremblay?
Yeah, and I just want to mention that initially when we had that discussion with staff, we didn't have any intention of charging any fees for the application if it was a minor change. And we want to encourage people to come to us, and I don't want them to not come to us because we have to charge a fee. So we want to make sure that the implementation of the HCD is as positive as possible, and adding an extra cost, I don't think that we're going to achieve what we're trying to achieve. So there's application right now. For example, when people apply for the CIP, there's no application fee. When they apply for a pre-consultation, there's no application fee. So I'm going towards no application fee at this point. But like I mentioned, and you just confirm that we will revise and come back to council, but I'm just telling you where we're leaning more towards.
Okay, thank you. Next question, Monsieur Lalonde. With no recommendations made in the report on how to deal with the heavy truck traffic running through the middle of the proposed HAD, does council intend to review this important issue itself? I believe we've discussed that as part of our transportation plan, the streetscape plan. There's suggestions that are made there. That'll be a discussion that comes at another point in time. I think it'll be standard and specific on its own. As mentioned in the ACD, it is not the job of the HCD to regulate that issue. I think the next question should be grants. I think we've addressed that with the CIP and those discussions. That'll come back. Mr. Dwyer, regarding sketch 100 on page 79, the explanation includes the term is not appropriate. For clarification, does this mean consolidation of lots to build a townhouse or multi-unit apartment that previously featured 2 single homes would not be permitted? So, Madame Tremblay, Madame Jolicoeur.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, can you just repeat the page?
So he's asking for clarification. Does this, the page is page 79, and it's in regarding sketch 100. I think he's basically asking if he wanted to consolidate 2 lots to make a multi-unit apartment as opposed to 2 single-family homes. Is that not permitted? I'm not sure who has that available, wants to address it. Madame
Yeah,
Tremblay.
Madame Jolicoeur will get that one.
So the wording in this section, if you're looking at the written guidelines, it says consolidation of land parcels is strongly discouraged, except where existing lots are smaller than the traditional pattern and consolidation would support the traditional patterns of development. So the sketch that he's referring to, sketch or image 100, shows like a larger lot being severed into very narrow lots for a townhouse, which would be inconsistent with the pattern of development within the HCD that's being proposed. So I think there's kind of 2 different things there. So if somebody already had a larger lot and was looking to subdivide it into smaller lots, which is what's shown in figure 100, those smaller lots still need to be of a size that is consistent with the historical pattern of lots within the Heritage District. And the reverse is true as well. If they're looking at consolidating parcels, we are encouraging that parcel sizes remain consistent with that historical pattern of development. However, when it comes to severing into smaller lots, it says that severances into smaller lots shall not be permitted where it's not consistent with the historical pattern of development. On the other hand, merging lots is not something that the municipality necessarily has authority over. So even severances, it's through the United Counties of Prescott-Russell that they would obtain severance approval. The municipality does provide comments on that, so we can say we do not support a severance, whereas merging properties is often done just through a legal mechanism. So they can go to a lawyer and have 2 properties merged together. So it's something that we can discourage, but we can't actually necessarily prevent someone from doing. But what they build on those properties still has to be consistent with the scale and character of the district. So if they consolidate parcels together to make a larger parcel, that the building or buildings that they propose on that larger property have to fit with the scale and character of the area.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question, Pat Hunter. With regard to the properties that border on the proposed HCD zone, but the residence is not in the zone, i.e. the HCD is a property line with all the HCD criteria applied to the residence, or is the HCD more concerned with the area along the property line? So we're not talking about a house that's in the zone, but one that's neighboring on the property that is in the zone.
So Alex Jolicoeur will answer that question.
So properties that are adjacent to the Heritage Conservation District are not kind of protected under the district, but there are provisions for properties adjacent to the district to ensure that any development on those properties is not detrimental to the character of the district. That being said, most work on those properties that are adjacent to the Heritage Conservation District is not going to require any kind of permit or any kind of review. It's really only if work is very major, if somebody is doing a brand new development building and it's clearly has some potential to be incompatible with the district, that's when we would look at it. In terms of the Heritage Conservation District guidelines, if you're looking for the exact section, so there is, I believe, I'm just trying to find the exact section for adjacent properties, but there is a section on adjacent properties. I can come back in a second when I've had a chance to look through the written guidelines.
Okay. Next question. Council has expressed its support for the good work done on the HCD by staff and consultant. Is it safe to assume that council recognizes, appreciate the good purpose in preserving and protecting the rich, unique history of Village of Russell? 5 years in the works. If council didn't feel this way, I don't think we'd be having this conversation right now. So obviously council does feel that it's worth having this conversation and trying to move this file forward. Under the proposal, how would a property owner find out what designation they fall under, category 1, 2, 3, or 4? I believe that's in the report this evening. There's a section that has all the addresses in the HCD. Is that correct?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay, so you can just look at the agenda package. It's one of the appendixes to this report. You can always contact staff directly, email the planning department, or and they'll be able to give you that information as well. And then somebody's asking if they would, if they wanted to consider challenging the designation of their property, how it was 1, 2, 3, or 4. How would they do that? They would contact the staff and look at that process?
Yeah, correct. So as mentioned earlier, we received the 2 requests today. And what we do is we send it back to our consultant and they review the proposal. Obviously, we need to have some sort of explanation of why. So today, for example, some new information was brought forward by the owner or the owner to become. And so that was shared with our consultant, and the property evaluation was reviewed based on the information that was provided. So again, they could contact us and we could send them the property evaluation for their house. And they could send us comment, and we, with the help of our consultant, we would review the property assessment. And just to get back for the previous question about the adjacent land development, it's section 4.2.4.
Okay, so perfect. So that's pretty much all the questions this evening. So thank you very much to all those interested in the Heritage District. As mentioned by Madame Tremblay, Madame Jolicoeur, you guys are more than welcome to reach out to staff in the department to find out if you have questions, general questions, or questions specific to your property. So thank you very much. I gotta say, I think that's the most questions I ever got virtually. So thank you so much. I'm glad when there's good participation from the public. With that, we'll go on to the next step, which is 15 resolutions. Motion that council approves all recommendations listed on the agenda under item number 11, reports from departments and council committees. I need a mover and a seconder to put it on the table. Moved by Conseiller Brisson, seconded by Councillor Saucier. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
I think I'm unmuted. Mike Ternosky, yes.
Andre, oui.
Cindy Saucier, yes.
Perfect. The resolutions are carried. Thank you. Item size, bylaws, motion that council approves bylaws 2021-021 inclusively for first reading only as listed on the agenda. And 2021 is in regards to the Heritage Conservation District for a first reading only. Need a mover and a seconder to put it on the table. Moved by Councillor Tarnowski, seconded by Conseiller Brisson. Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Mike Ternosky, oui.
Andre, oui.
Cindy Saucier, yes.
Parfait. It is carried. Merci beaucoup. Item 17, new business reports, il n'y a pas. 18, other business by council members, il n'y a pas. 19, public consultations hearings, we have none. And item 20, Motion to move into closed meeting at the hour of 7:19 p.m. to address matters pertaining to Section 239 of the Municipal Act, 2001, SO 2001, Chapter 25, to consider matters relating to 1. Potential litigation, business in Emblem, verbal report under Section 2E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. Item 2, potential litigation on a signed contract and on a potential acquisition of land, verbal report under Section 2B, personal matters about a valuable individual, including municipal or local board employees. Section 2C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition land by the municipality or local board. And Section 2E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. Item 3, update on lease renewal in Emblem, verbal report, Section 2C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. Section 2F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. And item 4, closed session minutes of the regular council meeting dated February 16th, 2021. So I need a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Tarnowski, seconded by Councillor Saucier. All those in favor of going into closed session?
Mike Tarnowski, yes.
Andre, oui.
Cindy Sosa, yes.
Thank you very much. We are now entering closed session. Thank you everyone this evening. Merci à tous les gens de la communauté qui ont pris le temps de regarder notre réunion. We're going into closed session. We will return afterwards just to report out a closed session and end the meeting. So if you decide to stick around, you're more than welcome. If not, I wish you a great evening. Passez une belle soirée. Merci.
On est rendu bon d'aller d'un bord puis de l'autre, hein?
On s'en vient bien. So, Marie, si tu peux enlever ça de l'écran. Welcome back, everyone. Bienvenue tout le monde. We're just waiting for our clerk and another member of council to show up. And then we'll be able to start. Should be a few seconds, and then we'll have all the members back.
I spoke too fast.
Councillor Sosi is not here yet, but we're just doing, maybe we can just report out of closed session, Madame Camré-Laflamme.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, so we're 8:46 right now. Report out of closed session for the first 3 items. Council was briefed on the subject and the direction given to staff on how to proceed. So it's the same thing for the 3 items.
Great.
For the 4th one, the closed session minutes of the regular council meeting of February 16 was advised there might have been a mistake in the French version, so it's the February 16th meeting. They were presented and adopted.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Madame Camré-Laflamme.
Thank you.
So we'll now move on to confirming bylaw, that bylaw 2021-022. 022 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Russell at its regular council meeting held on March 1st, 2021, be read a first, second, and third time and passed. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Brisson, seconded by Councillor Tarnowski. I'll call for the vote.
Mike Tarnowski, yes.
André, oui.
Cindy Sosa, yes.
Perfect. It is carried. Our next regular public meeting of council will be held on Monday, March 15th, 2021, and we are adjourned at 8:48 p.m. Thank you very much, everyone. Have yourselves a great evening. Bonne soirée.
Bonsoir.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bonsoir, merci tout le monde.